Hello, Satnam. Welcome to Spiritual Nerd Talk. We're waiting until I'm like spread out on the Instagram so I can invite Jamila in. And then we're going to start um, our conversation of the day. So, for a little heads up, maybe for the people that listen to the recording on our podcast that we have or on Insta.
All right.
Hello, Satnam.
Hi, Sanam. How's it
Hi,
going?
I'm doing very well. What about yourself?
Oh, it's good. It's another day in paradise.
Isn't it? Isn't
Planet
it?
Earth.
A paradise planet Earth. So good. I love it. Welcome to all our listeners. Welcome to the people on the live. So good to see you all. So we plan to be three today, but sometimes life does whatever it wants, and then all of a sudden we're just the two of us. So we had a little um mix up with the dates with Siri Shakti, but we will for sure have her on the show here, but just a little bit later. But we decided to do the talk anyways because discipline. I mean,
And
you
there's a
say,
lot to talk about. There's a lot to talk about. Yeah, good
yeah.
stuff.
So we decided because health and healing is such a huge topic that we will do it anyways. So yeah, this is what we're
Yeah,
going to do today.
there's so much to explore and how it ties into spirituality and your practice. I think
Yes.
it's very deep and very rich. And I really particularly want to hear more from you and your experience in helping others heal in your practice. I find that
Mm.
fascinating, and some of the stuff you've been sharing on your Instagram about healing stories. I just think that we should talk more about healing, because I think the overall narrative is about sick and defeat and depression of sickness, rather than like, you can decide to heal, more often than not. Your mind can actually really um join you in being a partner of healing. So I think the more that we talk about that, the more maybe that can start to unwind some of the conditioning that we don't even know we have around
Mm.
being unwell, and the sort of overwhelming defeat that happens, especially if you've battled chronic illness.
Yeah.
It's such a mind game.
Mhm.
So anyways, I'm excited to talk to you. And also, I mean, not only your practice, but what you've, conquered in your life, especially your early life with the cancer.
Mm.
That's huge, honestly. And I think sharing stories is just really helpful. I know it's helpful for me. So that's why I like to nerd chat about it.
That's why we do this probably. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I started this little thing on Instagram that I call them healing stories. And I started this series because I feel that in the collective mind there is not a big awareness that how much you can actually change the mental, physical, and emotional um current state of your existence and of your reality into a completely altered stage of perception of reality. So what I just see is people very often when they have experienced heavy trauma or have had or still have very difficult physical illnesses, chronic stuff, they almost kind of perceive their illness as a part of their identity. There is
Hmm.
so much identification with pain, with certain conditions, with sleep patterns, eat
Hmm.
patterns, with they, especially when it's chronicle, people almost have no room to hope, to believe that there is that there is change possible.
Mhm,
And it's
mhm,
really interesting. I just had this morning is or yesterday an interesting discussion with my dad, because I did an eye test in order to see whether I need the correction in my glasses.
mhm,
And I remember like 10 years ago, I had quite the correction to do. I had like -1.2 and -1.5, like not big, but still like I
mhm.
had some correction to be done. And then I made this eye test and it's nothing anymore. It's like
Mm.
0.25%, like
Wow.
points. So, and my dad said, "How did you do that?" And I said, "Well, it's a mix. It's a mix of yoga, of for sure, Kundalini yoga, like changed the physical capability of my body, like greatly in, especially when it comes to regeneration of the cells and the muscles and the whole nervous system. Like
Mhm,
that is like huge. And
mhm,
but also I feel it's also like cleaning past life, changing belief systems, changing behavior
mhm,
patterns. Like I don't have any fluoride anymore in my toothpaste, no
mhm,
aluminum in my deodorants. I have I eat no meat, I don't smoke anymore. Like there are so many
mhm,
things that changed in the past 10 years,
mhm,
where I clearly can see like, okay, that would have had an impact on the
mhm,
quality of my sight.
mhm,
But
mhm.
not only that, but then of course, yeah, with my whole past story, um, how I grew up and the
Mhm.
sickness that I had there, like there is even bigger
Oh my God.
change possible. So
I bet. And
yeah,
I like what you shared in a previous episode where it was like you decided that this is how it was going to be. Like you were going to heal,
yeah,
and that the diagnosis and the lifetime of, sickness and cancer effects was just not going to be a reality. And I think that was so powerful. And I think it's such a good reminder for, everybody going through something similar, but also everybody's going through something. Like, honestly, show me somebody, especially that lives in a city, that isn't dealing with some like health challenge, some harder than others. But um I know in my own experience, it's like I've been forced into this like magical mystery tour adventure of learning that I just never would have been interested in before if I wasn't trying to heal. But as far as the will power and also faith, I'm really interested in that subject of how faith ties
mm,
into this, because faith, like the Bible quote, like faith, the mustard seed moves mountains, or whatever that exact is, you get the point. Um, I just think it's super powerful and I love to
mhm.
talk about it.
Yeah, I fully agree. Think it's even the basis of like if you want to do major healing, like I'm not
Mhm,
saying like you cut your finger and you want it to heal. Like I'm
mhm,
like, if you want to change a major karmic
mhm, mhm,
pattern that was tied into your lifetime, and those are like, aligned very early in life most of the
mhm,
time. Like
mhm,
these alignments, they start to at latest, like from what I see, for me, like this karmic wheel starts to like really like repeat itself, like the first
mm,
12, 13, 14 years before you come into puberty,
mhm,
or like the like placing the narrative. And
mhm,
then after, when the puberty starts, like there is the repetition of the pattern,
mm,
that like
mhm,
like finding repetitions, and there's always like this repetition in relationships, how you read it.
mm,
It's like the
mhm,
repetition of your parents and the repetition of like the things that you learned even if you didn't have parents, and that's also a repetition. And then you have
yeah,
the physical storyline that is repeating itself over and over
mhm,
again. And then I would say you have the mental emotional storyline that is
mhm,
repeating itself again.
mhm.
And that is all what is like basically planted into your subconscious landscape
So
while you were a
fascinating.
child in the
Mhm,
womb. Like we in Kundalini
mhm,
yoga, we say it's the pregnancy plus 40 days that like basically create the patterning,
Mhm.
and then all after that is like little additions,
But
but
yeah,
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 it's not so big. So
yeah.
yeah. So, but for
Wow.
me, like, because, like, for those of you that don't know, I was born with an embryonal cancer. So that means that I was supposed to be a twin, and then the twin passed away in my mother's womb, and then my in my growing the what when the kidney is built, which is like in week 8, I think. Then the kidney like almost like enclosed this embryo that didn't evolve anymore. And
Mhm.
so I had an embryonal cancer, which, by the way, now we know embryonal cancers are not like aggressive cancers. So
Mhm.
you wouldn't treat them with chemotherapy anymore. You wouldn't do
Mm.
radiation therapy. Like, but back in the days, in the 80s, we
Mhm.
didn't know. So I got the
Mhm.
full program,
Wow.
and then what's like there was the physical healing was one part, and the being away from your parents by the age of 2, and my parents still say like, oh, but we were there all the time. Like, I was like, yeah, but you were not there during the night and in the mornings, and
Mhm.
you know
Mhm.
but then I think the more difficult thing to heal was the emotional pattern that came from that, because
Mm.
there's so much fear that this child dies. There's so
Mhm.
much also fear of loving again,
Yeah.
like so much
Yeah.
anger, so much
Mhm.
resentment. Like that is still something, I think that's very difficult to like to completely switch. I'm
Mm.
currently trying that.
It's huge.
It's huge. It's very big. And I can really see the patterns, how they were aligned, and how much pain there is.
Wow.
Not in me, but
Yeah.
in my especially in my dad, I would say.
Mm. Mhm.
Um because he loved so fiercely, and then this
Mhm.
child was sick, and all of that.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
it's
Imagine.
very, yeah, it's very devastating. It was
Yeah.
devastating for him,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
there's still this anger, this lingering anger
Mm.
towards
Mm.
that. So it's really
Mm.
interesting.
Mhm.
Also to I feel to heal all these different aspects, I would say,
Mhm.
probably the
Mhm.
right word. And so, but I see that also, like, in my clients, first I had to heal the physical body, and then I had to heal the past life that led to the karma,
Mm.
and then I had to heal the actual behavior patterns that are still supporting the thing. And then I like, it depends on like what you have and what your teacher is. For me, my
Mhm.
teacher in this lifetime was my physical body. When it came to, like, my guru was like, how to be in this physical body, in this form.
Mm.
Do you really want to stay there? Like,
Mhm.
do you really want to stay? So
Mhm.
there were like
Mhm.
a couple of times where I had the chance to leave and I didn't.
Mm. Mm.
Sometimes I wonder why. No, I don't. No, 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 I don't. I was just joking. No, it's I think but it was very difficult.
Yeah.
It was super difficult. And yeah, and then I healed, like, the physical part healed itself, and then I was very isolated as a child because I was highly traumatized, but people
Mhm.
didn't know. Like, nobody
Mhm.
knew shit about that. Like, people were like, my parents, like, they gave me, we had friends, and I could, like, we had these sleepovers.
Mhm.
I wanted to do them by the age of like 7 or 8. I wanted to sleep at friend's house like 5 minutes from my parents' place.
Mhm.
There was no chance I would sleep. I would cry like
Mhm.
frantically, like, and
Mhm.
they were like, "Oh, we had to get you because you didn't want to sleep anywhere else." Like, yeah,
Mm.
guess why? Like,
Yeah.
I was in the hospital with 2 for a couple of weeks alone, so that was no chance that.
Yeah.
But nobody made the connections at the time
Mm.
because
Mhm.
knowledge was not there. That the
Yeah.
collective didn't know.
It was much more dense. I mean, the people that
Much
maybe
more.
maybe it's anybody in their 20s or some younger people are listening to this, like I feel like I've reached the point where I'm like, back in my day, thanks for and
Yes.
it's real because it's becoming so dramatic when you think about the difference of the energy signature, for lack of a better
Mm,
way to phrase it. But it was such a denser time, and we didn't have the access to information.
yeah.
And just in reflecting back on my journey of health and everything, it's like, 12 years ago, um it was like you, you didn't you knew that you didn't know something, but to get to where you knew it was like really hard. And like you had to
Mm,
like make a lot of moves. And even then you had to get really lucky to find the information. So
mhm.
yeah, in the 80s, oh my God. That was just very, yeah,
Impossible.
it was like there was so much gatekeeping about the knowledge, and then the people that were gatekeeping didn't even know hardly anything actually about real
They were
healing.
experts in their field maybe, but it was
But
like
not
a
in
fight.
heal. Yeah.
Yeah,
So anyways, I just can imagine what you're saying,
yeah.
and it's just wow. Well, I'm really fascinated by the idea or the reality of, how we've decided all of our major challenges before we incarnate. I feel that I know that it's true. I don't need anybody to tell me anything about it. It just feels absolutely accurate. But I think it's interesting, and I like talking about it because I don't know that that's a common belief in the West. Because it's impossible to be in victim consciousness when you really accept that you actually agreed to all the challenges and that they're really all for your highest good if you choose to accept the challenge. So, anyways, in your practice and your life, maybe if you could touch on that or speak to that, the pre-life agreement that we've made to experience these things.
Yeah, I think I totally understand why this is so difficult. I mean, I had clients, they were raped by their parents for years and years, in the most ugly way possible. And like being standing there and saying, "Oh, well, you agreed in that, and this is just your payoff," is very hard and very, very crucial. Crucial? Is that the right word? Probably.
I don't know.
It's very unsensitive. I
Yeah,
don't know the right word, but
yeah.
like for a lack of better word, it's very
Hmm.
unsensitive. So
Hmm.
I feel the understanding that everything we go through has some karmic ties on it, especially the most difficult things,
Hmm.
is a understanding that is very somatic. It's an understanding. It's
Mm.
like it's like in yoga. It's something that needs to be caught. It cannot be said, taught.
Mm. Oh my God, thank you for saying that. That's it. That's it.
That's it.
That's it.
It's and
Yeah, you cannot even
you
you
do
can't talk
no,
about
you
it for
and
someone else.
you're not no
You can talk about it for yourself and
only
realize that you realize it for yourself,
for
but you
you
cannot, it's
judge.
just you just can't even, it's just not,
No.
and that's why it's not talked about. But I
Yes.
think if someone's ready to explore that, I mean that they come to you for a reason, right?
Yes,
Um,
totally.
but
But they
yeah.
don't come for that. They
Mm,
come because
yeah.
they feel like I think I hold the change of dharma, of karma dharma, of
Mm,
healing, of all that. I hold that in my auric field.
mm-hmm,
What I see over and over again, and what I get as a feedback over and over again, is that they trust me, that
mm,
I can do that with them.
mm-hmm,
They
mm-hmm.
have this trust in me that I can bring them where I say I can bring them.
Mm,
So
mhm,
that's also a vibrational storyline. Like it doesn't make sense, right? Like I have people that studied psychology. I have people that went to like therapists and healers, and I did everything. And still they're like, you can do it. I know you can. I know you're the one that can bring me from here to there, to like overcome this line. But it's difficult to hold after that. It's I wouldn't say that I'm if I'm a teacher or not. I would never use this word, but what I for sure hold is I have an auric field in which
Mm,
this change is very simple. It's like
mm,
because I take you there, but
mhm,
then standing there and living the life in that frequency is then on you. And that's
mhm,
why I only work for 2 months with people. Maybe like if someone
mm,
comes in a very, very bad situation, it's maybe
mhm,
4 months, but that's
mhm.
it. I
Wow.
don't I don't have clients for years and years because I don't want to. Because
Mhm,
you can come to me, I can show you how it's done, but then
mhm.
you need to continue on your own. You
Yeah,
need to do it on your tempo, in your speed, in your also in your life, you know. It's
yeah.
easy if you have someone that holds a certain vibration then to be better.
Mhm,
And that's why I'm so thankful that I can teach Kundalini. You know,
mhm, mhm,
I teach the Kundalini yoga principles also because of that. So there is like I I try to open up these rooms for people that want to stay in the aura, but like not like necessarily in therapy.
totally,
Yeah.
totally.
And
That's
so
awesome. I
yeah,
love that.
I think this karmic thing is super difficult, and it's really interesting, like with every single one of my clients. Like, and they could have had the worst karma that you like. For me, rape is like ugh, it's really top shitty karma for me as a woman.
Mhm, mhm,
And I have with every client I have this one session where we're like, okay, so there is an agreement between the villain and the victim.
mm,
And it's
mm.
not an agreement, you know. I don't like to think that, or I don't see it the way that you both are in heavens and then you look down and you're like, okay, this time you're going to rape me and this time I'm like the victim and you were like, I don't see it like that. For
Mm,
me it's a much more energetic tie. It's
mm,
kind of contractual, that
mm,
like in one lifetime like a certain aspect experience the negative, the dark force part, and
mhm,
the other one is like the victimized part, and then
mm,
that changes in
mm.
and I don't see it as you know, we as souls meet like angels with our wings and then we're like, I don't see it that way, even though
Mhm,
it could be. I mean, I don't
mhm,
know.
mhm.
I've still the veil, but what I see very often when I go back into past lives with my clients, um, that there were situations where the match to the now moment is there, and it's always
Mm,
like the vice versa match,
mhm,
and it's
mhm,
always there's always some turning points in there in this twist.
mm,
It's like when you have these things which are twisted, and when
mhm,
you untwist them, then you're like, oh, okay, that no longer has to play. That no
mm,
longer has to resonate also to
mhm,
attract in the now moment.
mhm, mhm.
So I think that's one of the most powerful things. And there are some really, really powerful shamanic rituals going on when it comes to soul contracts.
Oh,
Like
wow.
whenever I whenever I disconnect soul contracts, I go with the shamanic. There's a chamber of contracts, which is in the underworld.
Mm,
You should not go there, by the way. If the people that are listening, I know some of you are
mhm,
super capable, don't go there. It's like no man's land. It's not fun. You need super well protected, you need well protected um guidance down there. It's not, otherwise it's like, oh, don't want to go there just like that, like, oh yeah, hello underworld. It's like I wouldn't recommend it. But there is a chamber of contract, and there are like some strange entities working there. And these are the entities that on planet Earth. have deal with all the akashic contracts between souls, and you
Mm.
can like cut those. You can
Oh,
like
wow,
you
wow.
can like it's like a stamp, and then it's they're invalid, and then it needs to be communicated everywhere on all realms.
Wow. Yeah, I'm getting a whole, like,
The pictures, yeah.
yeah.
I
Mhm.
love that. And so when it's communicated, then then the complete shift, like the cut
Mm,
can happen. So it doesn't have to happen
mm,
again in the
mm.
next lifetime.
Wow, wow.
But I do that. Sometimes people are like, "Oh, can I book a past life reading?" No. I'm really like I don't see a point in just like out of fun and out of,
Mhm.
there's this spiritual tourism sometimes I feel. I don't know if it's the right word, but tourism
Mm,
feels like
mhm. Yeah, no, that's
where
a
people are
thing.
like, "Oh, I want to experience that one as well." And
Yeah,
I'm
that's a
like,
thing.
"No, I no, this is not my job. Like
Mhm,
I don't
mhm,
no,
mhm,
no."
mhm.
Oh,
Can you speak to the price, not like not your physical price, but like the energetic price of changing soul contracts in that way? Like, because that sounds really heavy what you're talking about. Like, can you pay that karma just by, I mean, I'm trying to ask a question, but maybe it's not fully formed in my mind. But
mm.
it's just when you skip steps sometimes, or is just getting to the point where you know that that's even possible, and that means then maybe you could potentially be ready to disconnect that contract.
There are many possible answers I could give to that question.
Maybe
Um,
just give us a
no, no,
couple different
no.
angles.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm trying to have a red thread through what I'm going to say. So, in my experience with my clients and my own storyline, whenever I could release a soul contract fully,
Mhm.
what is applicable after that is free will.
Mm,
And sometimes before, free will is not even an option.
mm,
So that
mm,
means, let's say you have a friend from school, and this friendship is kind of destructive. It's not a very, it's not super destructive, but it's kind of, negative, and some, they're both people want to work out some soul experience, right? So
mhm,
if you would want to cut, or if you would want to end this soul contract with this person, you must understand that you use this person as a reflection of your own mind.
mm,
Everything is a reflection of you. So
mhm,
in order to be able to cut that contract, you would need to say, okay, a part of my mind wants to gossip, and it's for a long time it was part of my soul's experience to gossip and to lose energy in gossiping, and to be negative, to be destructive, to be
mhm,
also mean, and all these, because it's also an aspect of our soul. We
mhm,
also have these things we want to do, and then,
mhm,
but you would need to understand that you do that in order to
mhm,
be able to cut the contract, because otherwise you wouldn't still enjoy it. So
mhm,
you come here, and then you say, okay, I have this friend, and then we're always very negative, and I just never feel good after that. It drains me, it takes away a lot of energy. So you have this understanding that you are the problem in this whole thing.
mhm, mhm,
You need
mhm,
to understand that,
mhm,
because it's a reflection of you,
mhm,
otherwise you wouldn't have that friend.
mhm,
So, and but even with the understanding, sometimes it's very, these contracts are super powerful. So then if you go to the chamber of contracts, and you quit the soul contract between that person and you would need to understand why you game up together, why you team up together for that experience, which would then lead to a past life where you would need to understand why did you was there a lack of communication in the past life very
Mm,
often, was there a problem in that past life where you couldn't speak to each other and now you want to chit chat away, like, they're these
mhm,
souls. And
mhm,
so you, let's say you saw all that, you cleansed it, you cleared it out of your physical system, and then you um, make the contract invalid.
mhm,
So what that does is your school friend is still in your phone and you are still in that person's phone. So now both of you have the choice to choose constructive energies together. So possibly you could go and say, okay, I want to bring this friendship to a new level because I'm the giver, the person is maybe the taker, because you
mhm,
would be the one that does that. So
mhm,
then you would probably do I don't know, a pottery class and learn something new together, or you would write a newsletter to people with healing modalities. I don't know. I'm just saying
mhm,
stuff. I'm making up stuff, but you would have the choice to change it into the positive, right?
mhm, mhm,
And this is a
mhm,
very light example with a friendship and a little bit of negative talk. Of course, there are like much worse examples than that.
mhm, mhm,
And but very often it's also when you have these soul contracts and you make them go invalid, the friendship is just not there anymore.
mhm, mhm.
That's also a possible outcome. And
Yeah.
you need to understand that, like, you need to understand, like, maybe it's not there anymore.
Mhm.
It's also with
Okay.
the mantras. Some mantras make that antonicity.
Mm,
Antonicity erases you people away like this.
mm.
It's like
Wow.
it's like cleansing out what
Interesting.
no longer serves, right? So yeah.
That's so interesting. Thank you. Well, as far as mantra and healing goes, maybe we could touch a little bit on that. I know it's mantra is one of our favorite subjects for a
Yes,
good
we love
reason.
it.
Because
Love
it's so
us.
powerful and it's something that anybody can bring in their life and you don't need to know. It's just you can bypass all this like mental intrigue and trying to figure everything out and just cut it like with a energetic sword, which is the sound current. Um, I think it's the most inspiring thing ever.
Mm,
And no, the best tools that anybody can use, but it's just interesting how wrapped up it is with belief systems and, you know, just sort of like maybe because there's so much deception in our current world that I mean, I know I have trust issues, so I get it. People, whatever. Don't know, don't trust, don't understand, underestimate, the power, surely. Because if someone really, if most people knew what was available to them, that, for example, was not available a couple of decades ago, like at all, unless you're very, very fortunate. But now it's like you have go to your Spotify, your iTunes, and like press play. Like it's crazy. But because it's so easy and ubiquitous, it's underestimated the power of it. So, anyways, I love hearing your points of view on healing with mantra and also maybe your stories of what you've seen with your clients and stuff. Do
yeah,
you want to
well,
speak on that?
yeah, I would love to. I feel I really understand why people cannot see mantra, like
Mm,
why they cannot hear it,
mm-hmm.
because mantra needs a certain quality of nervous system.
Mm.
The-
Oh, that's such a good
if
point.
your
Yeah.
nervous
Mm-hmm.
system is not capable of holding that type of frequency,
Mm-hmm.
because maybe even your nervous system in this lifetime is not made to hold
Mm,
it, like,
mm-hmm.
good jacket. I remember she had this one talk that she gave where she said, there's only 20% of people here to actually do
Mhm.
something. And
Yeah.
like they're like sometimes they only take incarnation to be once in your life, in their lifetime, close to a person that
Mhm.
actually works with constructive energy to have
Mhm.
an auric experience of that.
Mhm.
So I feel mantra can never be like for everyone.
Mhm.
It will
Mhm.
always be or not always, but for I think for a longer time it will take a little bit of more time because
Mhm.
um the what I see in like not only in my clients but in general, that's why I feel people are so not well.
Mhm.
I uh, because it's the whole incarnation is how well does your nervous system work.
Mm.
It's
Mhm.
this is what it comes down to. At the
Mhm.
end of the day,
Mhm.
that's what it is.
Yeah.
And if you were lucky and you didn't have a lot of physical trauma, um, then you might be capable of holding a certain type of higher frequency
Mm.
already from the beginning. But other
Mhm.
than that, I mean, I have dealt with huge issues with my nervous system holding the frequency. I had a back operation, so
Mm.
the main nerve channels going through the whole spine,
Mhm.
and then so whenever something major happens, my nervous system is like the first one to react
Mm.
upon that what happened.
Mhm.
And so when I play mantra and I see people that are like they have this physical reaction to the mantra, they're like, oh, oh. Because and not because I don't like the sound.
Mhm.
I think it's because their nervous system can actually not hold the frequency. Because
Mm.
these mantras, I mean, it's very high. It's a
Mhm.
very high vibration. It's not even from planet Earth.
Mhm. Mhm.
Most of
Mhm.
them are downloads like imported, to not to say stolen, imported from another dimension, right? I
Mhm.
mean, all
Mhm.
with the Buddhist mantras, we know it that they are imported from other dimensions, and with our mantras, we know it as well. Like how
Mhm.
Guru Nanak brought many of them in through the waters, and like
Mhm. Mhm.
it's very
Exactly.
fascinating. So I feel it's a capability of the nervous system to deal with the frequency of the mantra and
Mhm.
to even just hold the sound in the auric field,
Yeah.
and it's just not for
Yeah.
everyone.
Yeah. Totally.
And to come back to your question about my clients, um what what I saw very often and what I Timo, kan je spytte over? Doe het spytte dadelijk. My dog is like very nervous because someone is in the house and he's like, oh my god, there's someone and there might be food. Um, and I just told him to lay down in Swiss German, so that's what I said.
So
Um,
cute.
so what I see the highest benefits for people that start healing is Chattr Chakkr Varta.
Mm.
Because it relaxes the nervous system the
Mm.
most. It's not
Mm.
very relaxing, but
Mhm.
the most. Like I
Mm.
feel it's a very it's a good beginner's mantra.
Mm. That's so cool to hear because, like, in teacher training, I mean, that's like one of the very first ones that I remember we work with, so that's for a
Oh,
reason.
really? My
Mm-hmm.
God, that's so interesting.
Yeah,
I mean, all
super.
the teachers also always say that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'll play Chaturvarti at night. It's really good because
Mm-hmm.
it protects
Mm-hmm.
your incoming thought stream while you're not there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I have major nightmares when I don't do it. Like because
Wow.
now the protection at night is so high. And
Mm-hmm.
so when I don't do it, I think like the things are like, okay, let's go now.
Mm. That's so interesting.
Yeah. But Chatur Chakravarti is really like, and I see that people benefit from it a lot, just also with the ease of the mind.
Mm-hmm.
It really eases the mind, it really
Mm-hmm.
eases the thought, the the sharpness of the self-hate. It's like
Mm-hmm.
that it takes the edge away a little bit. It
Mm-hmm.
takes like really does something, I feel. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's but then I mean as you said, all mantras do. So,
Yeah, I love that. You know,
what's your
that's straight from Honey
favorite?
Demon.
Yeah,
Um,
what's your
my
favorite
my favorite.
healing modality mantra?
It's a great question. I've been working a lot with the Mut Mantra,
Mm,
um, the last like 6 months, especially with Long Mut Mantra.
mm.
Um, Long Mut Mantra is so great because
It's the
the
most
nerve.
amazing thing.
I mean, it's just I feel it's very powerful with the nervous system also. Um, but I love that that's a great all-purpose mantra too, you know. I mean,
Yeah, I
it's a
agree.
root mantra for a reason. But I mean, yeah, like fate killer, prosperity. But the fate killer, I like to loop back into, you know,
Dharma
the
Dharma.
discussion about, yeah, like just, you know, the all of our problems being preset, agreed upon. Um, yeah, I think the Moon mantra is very effective and I'm very grateful for that. But
Imagine conceiving a baby play with Moon
oh my
Mantra. Like
gosh,
if you
yeah.
play Moon Mantra,
That's good. That's a good idea. Yeah, no, mantras in
that's
the
right.
bedroom. The mantras in the bedroom. It's interesting. I don't know if you or other people have noticed this, but like mantras in the house, like it's like the forces that don't want those higher energies to come on, like I don't know, you just have to really stay on top of your mantra boxes
Yeah.
because they like will get they just yeah, they'll just sort of get knocked off and you have to kind of keep
I
them up
cannot
because
hear you anymore
oh
somehow.
oh I'm getting a call.
That's so fascinating.
I
You
declined the call. I don't
you started speaking about the problem with the mantra boxes and then we
oh
couldn't hear you
see
anymore.
that is my point exactly. Yeah, I was just saying how exactly what just happened. So, anyways, I used to have quite a lot of mantras going on in my bedroom, and now I think there's only maybe two. So, because they get knocked out of the wall, these things stop working, whatever. But yeah, that's Mo mantra, and then Antanasifti is one I go to
Mhm.
all the time. And then the Guru Ramdas mantra uh is like my all the time mantra. So but it's an embarrassment of riches, you know, the phrase, because we have so many and it's
Mm,
like being at a buffet. You just want
mhm,
to eat all of them all the time. But
mhm.
really you have the most benefit when you concentrate on a few. But also depends on how you're wired. Like I think some people I think it's very beneficial to put in lots of different mantra inputs and then others it's much better just to like concentrate on one and even just a very simple one. Satnam, you know, that's like so underestimated.
Oh yeah, totally.
There's like or Satanama, break it down into its parts. But it's like what you said, it's caught, not taught, you know, like you have to really just be the vibration and then other people that are interested in having some of the happy energy you have will want to learn it from you. But
Mm.
yeah, most people, I don't know, whatever. You just yeah, someone needs to catch the vibration coming from you or the other person, you know what I mean? It's so
Yeah.
powerful and under not understood.
I think what I also want to say about healing in general, like because we have a more like general talk today about it,
Mm-hmm.
I think what's really important to understand is there is not one healer that does it all. There's not
Mm-hmm.
one technology that does it all. There's not
Mm-hmm.
one modality that does it all. Healing
Mm-hmm.
is a journey, and like
Mm-hmm.
in my healing journey, I had so many different therapists
Mm-hmm.
depending on the stage of the healing I
Mm-hmm.
was. And like if you do one thing very consistently, I was always very consistent in my healing, in my own healing. But then after a certain time, after a couple of years or a couple of months, depending on how fast you are, and I mean, healing now goes much faster than it used to
Mm,
do 20 years ago. Like that's
mhm,
also very fascinating.
mm. Oh, that's so cool.
It's very fascinating because the planet is not as dense anymore, and so like you get these energies just they're just like working on a different level. But I feel very important. It's very important to speak about that because so often I have these people as clients, or I hear it in people just like around, that they try something with a therapist or a healer or a physical body heal, like whatever it is, and then they're super disappointed that that was not the last one.
Yeah.
There is this there is this concept of there must be this one Jesus type, one Buddha type, one like magician magic type of healer that can do it
Mm,
all. And
mm,
that is a myth. Like in
mhm.
German there is this expression, it's a wool giving, laying, milk pig, something like that. It's like
Yeah, yeah.
the do it all. It's
Yeah,
not existing. It
yeah,
doesn't
yeah.
exist in any type of therapy I have.
Mm,
Like sometimes you need to first
mm,
treat your physical body in order to release some emotions, and then you do that, and then in order to release or change some thought processes, some belief systems, and then you go back to physical, and then you adjust something in the mind, and you our experience as a human in this human incarnation is very layered. The physical
yeah.
reality is just the last, like the 1% density, and then
Yeah.
other than that there is like layers to it, and you need to like when it's like a engine, like an
Mm,
engine.
mhm,
You can change the oil, but maybe there is also a screw loose, and you need to like tighten the screw. And then when you've done that, maybe there is some gas necessary. So you do some breath of fire every day, like a lot. And then for all of you that don't, I just annoy people with breath of fire all the time. Like you need to breathe more. And then you have to do a service and exchange a filter, and it's like an engine, and our physical body is it is the result of all that we do. So don't be disappointed when one therapist did some good parts for you, and then you're stuck with that and you're not getting further. Then you need to find someone new. And
mm,
depending on where you are, you need to find someone new for your mind, for your emotion, for your knowledge. Super
mhm,
important. I
mhm,
teach a lot with my clients.
mm,
Sometimes
mhm,
I have whole sessions where I deconstruct the subconscious landscape in order to then be able to move a
mm,
step further. So
mhm,
I think yeah, that's what I feel is super important also to know. And healing is possible.
mhm.
You I There are plenty of studies where they had people with cancer, same type of cancer, same stage of cancer. One group got the placebo, one group got the chemotherapy. The people with the placebo lost their hair, did healings, did like, and the change, the healing percentage after 5 years was like a little bit less good, like 2% less in the placebo group than in the other. It's like ridiculous.
Yeah.
Our mind is so powerful. And so have hope, have faith, try things, don't give up. Don't listen to anyone that tells you the current state is this the last state that you will ever be in. Don't ever listen to anyone telling you that this is what you're going to face. This is your future. This, like, never listen to anything in the future. Like, just be very, very powerful and proud. And if you need a prep talk, DM me. No, really, I think it's so
I
important.
love
You
it.
need to
Yes,
believe,
totally.
believe that healing
Mhm,
is possible, and that this
mhm,
is what you need to do.
mhm. Honestly, I think that's the foundational piece. The deciding or
It's a
realizing
decision.
it's a decision.
Healing is a decision. I
When
agree.
you like, if for just speaking to like chronic illness, like your mind can get worn down, and you can unconsciously even start to think that it's hopeless and this
Oh
is
yeah.
just the way it's going to be. And then at a certain point, it's like you're like, oh, if that can come to light, and then you can be like, you can take it back and be like, no, we're doing this, I am just going to keep doing all the things, but I'm going to do the new things that are outside of my
Yeah.
comfort zone, and I'm going to explore, and then practice gratitude around it. Like when I decided that my issue was the best thing that ever happened to me, but I really, really believed it, and like wasn't just giving lip service. It was like all of a sudden so much opened up, and the journey shifted quite powerfully at that time. So anyways, yeah, I'm right there with you about the belief, and really examining your inner beliefs around your story and why this is happening, and calling out your own victim consciousness, because that's not the frequency of healing, the victim story. It's a stage in the journey, surely though. Oh, yay, I love this conversation. It's been helpful for me, and hopefully for other people with us. If there's any questions, please share them now.
Yeah.
But otherwise, we'll be wrapping this little talk up.
Yeah.
Unless you have more
No, I
questions.
think also it feels very
Yeah, I think
come
we tied it
together.
up pretty good.
Yeah,
Yes,
I agree.
totally.
All right, then. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Thanks to all the people that hopped on here on our live. It's so good to have you here, and it's so good to be with you all. We have this new thing. We created a little YouTube channel with this talk. We
Yay.
created a little Spotify, Apple podcast playlist. It's called Spiritual Nerd Talk, as we
Yay.
call it here, and we will put all our talks live. So if you ever want to like listen to us while you drive your car to the grocery store, it's now possible.
Yay! Thank you so much for
Amazing.
doing that. I'm so
Oh,
excited.
such a
It's awesome.
pleasure.
We had someone ask about the mantras. I think, you know what we should do in the show notes, we can put links to mantras. But just so you know, we talked about Chattr Chakkr Varta. See, yeah, we should be linking these things, because man, how do you even spell some of these mantras?
Yeah,
But Mul Mantra, that's easy. That's MUL and then mantra. And I recommend White Sun. They do a great job on all the mantras.
yeah.
And then what was the other? Antanesifty. Did you mention any others? I think
No,
that was it.
you
Yeah,
did. You had the good
but
around us as well.
yeah, oh yeah, Guru Ramdas, so powerful for healing. But yeah, we can link resources to these talks as well. So yay, thank you so much.
Greatest
So
pleasure. Thank
grateful.
you. Okay,
Yay.
and then we will line up some new guests. If you have any like ideas for guests, you let us know. We have a full, comprehensive list of people we want to talk during this talk.
Yes, I'm so excited.
It will
So
be like,
stay tuned.
yeah. Okay. Thank you
Best
very much for
ever.
listening, everyone, and have a wonderful day, evening, night, whatever you do,
Yes.
wherever you are. Okay,
Yes,
thank you.
forevermore. Okay, Sadnam.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.